After this teen's death left her family shaken, they included a powerful message in her obituary. But before we start, please give the video a like and make sure to subscribe to WonderBot and hit the bell so you'll never miss any uploads from us. Sadie Riggs was a vivacious teenage girl whose career aspirations involved fighting fires and caring for animals. Sadly, the Pennsylvania native never got the chance to fulfill her dreams, for Riggs tragically passed away at the age of just 15, and the obituary written by her family sent a powerful message to those they deemed responsible for her untimely and shocking death. Born in Bedford, Pennsylvania in 2001 to father Eric and mother Beverly, Sadie endured something of a difficult childhood. For you see, she was abandoned by her drug-addicted mom in her infant years, and it was only when she was taken in by the sister of her stepmother, Alicia, that she experienced some stability. That woman's name was Sarah Smith. Now, the pair first developed a bond when they were both invited to go on vacations to Myrtle Beach and the Outer Banks with Eric and Alicia. Later, Sadie and Sarah started to spend time together on weekends. And much to her delight in early 2017, Sarah was appointed Sadie's legal guardian. Touchingly, Sadie loved being with their pet dogs in the open air, and she had a keen interest in drawing. But sadly, the teenager also had to deal with being constantly bullied by her fellow high school students. And the taunting didn't end when she went home either, for Sadie was also bombarded with upsetting messages on various social media platforms. And in an interview with the Pittsburgh magazine, Guardian Sarah revealed that Sadie was first picked on for her tomboyish looks and ginger hair during her middle school years. Regardless of this, though, the teen had been excited about moving up to Bedford High School, and her early days there appeared to be relatively smooth. She particularly enjoyed the countdown to the annual homecoming dance. But after telling a fellow classmate that she liked him, Sadie started to be bullied again. Indeed, Sarah told Pittsburgh magazine, "They said she was fat. She starved herself and lost 23 pounds. They called her a whore, a red-headed she-devil, a bum, a lowlife." As a result, Sadie cut her signature red locks short in an attempt to stop the taunts. However, even when Sadie returned home from school, she still had to deal with the cruelty of her peers. Yes, she was constantly taunted on social media platforms such as Instagram and Snapchat. Now, Sarah did her best to monitor Sadie's online activities, often replying to those doing the bullying and enforcing an internet ban. However, the teen couldn't resist the temptation to see what the rest of her classmates were saying about her. All the more shocking, Sarah told NBC that she received little help from the authorities or organizations concerned. She said, "I went to the police, I went to the school, I even contacted Instagram headquarters, and they didn't do anything about it. So finally I smashed her phone. I broke it in half. She was bawling every day and I couldn't take it anymore." Furthermore, one particular incident appeared to hurt Sadie more than any other. For in early 2017, the youngster started wearing a sweatshirt she'd picked up in the school's Lost and Found. But when the real owner saw Sadie wearing it and reported her, the bullies used this as an opportunity to heave even more misery on the troubled teen. Yes, sadly, Sadie was often picked on for her dress scene and the fact that she came from a humble background. Indeed, her legal guardian, Sarah, held down 2 jobs to make ends meet, working on a farm and in a restaurant. She told NBC, "I'm a single mother and I couldn't afford to buy her nice clothes." Nonetheless, Sadie's grandmother, Stephanie, urged the teen to fight back against her tormentors. But the youngster instead started playing truant and, even more worryingly, self-harming. As a result, Sadie received both medical and psychological treatment. But in April 2017, the teen overdosed on her medication and was rushed to hospital. Subsequently, she spent 5 days in a psychiatric facility, according to Pittsburgh magazine. And after leaving the facility, Sadie attended a summer school initiative designed to help kids with similar emotional problems. Initially, Sarah believed that things were improving for the teen, but her world came crashing down in June 2017 when she returned home with her father, Jeff, to an unimaginable sight. For you see, Sarah believed that Sadie was only sulking when she spotted her up in the backyard tree she often enjoyed climbing. But on further inspection, it became clear that the youngster had hung herself. Desperately, Sarah tried to resuscitate Sadie once Jeff had cut the cord, and she eventually discovered a light pulse. However, after being rushed to UPMC Bedford Memorial Hospital, Sadie was pronounced dead. So Sadie's funeral took place at the Lewis Geisel Funeral Home a week later, and it was preceded by an obituary written by her legal guardian, Sarah, and her grandmother, Stephanie, which went viral. Indeed, the pair's powerful words instantly struck a chord with those who had been afflicted by bullying, and also sent a message to those who'd played a part in Sadie's suicide. So let's find out more. Well, the obituary began, "In an effort to debunk the rumors about Sadie's death, we would like to share this information. Yes, Sadie took her own life. She hung herself. It's hard to fathom that someone so young could be so troubled. Sadie was seeking help, she was in counseling and taking medication, but it was all too much for such a young soul to live with." Then Sarah and Stephanie went on to discuss Sadie's unconventional upbringing. They wrote, "If you take a minute and look at Sadie's family dynamics, you'll see that a large percent of the people in her life were not related to her by blood, but she was sent to us by God, who knew this child needed a family." What's more, the relatives then remarked on how much the teen had been forced to deal with from such a young age. Sadie had a tough life, and until a recent incident at school, she handled everything life served her. They added, "For a young lady so excited about going to high school, things sure went terribly wrong for her." Then Sarah and Stephanie turned their attention towards those who'd made Sadie's final year so miserable. The obituary continued, "For the bullies involved, please know that you were effective in making her feel worthless. That's all between you and God now. But please know that you are not too late to change your ways." And with that came a pledge from the family, who admitted that they had endured a traumatic episode. "Sadie's death has taken us to a dark place," admitted Sarah and Stephanie. "We'll stick together and protect one another as we try to make sense of this tragic loss." After that, the pair once again directly addressed those who had tormented Sadie. And it was this particular passage that proved to be the most powerful. "To the bullies out there," the obituary continued, "I just want you to know that as much as we despise your actions, never ever do we wish for you to feel the paralyzing pain that engulfs our bodies." Heartbreakingly, Sarah and Stephanie then described this pain as so severe that it makes the simple act of breathing difficult. Touchingly, Sadie's legal guardian and grandmother then reflected on whether they could have prevented Sadie's death. Indeed, they told of the guilt that leaves us wondering what we could have done differently, or that struggle to remember the last words we spoke. They then made the hugely emotional statement, "Our hearts are beyond broken." What's more, Sarah and Stephanie concluded their heartfelt obituary without any malice. They wrote, "Sadie, it was a privilege to have you in our lives, and we'll always love you. May you find peace in the arms of God, and may we all be kind to one another." After that, the family added a message to mourners wishing to pay their respects. "In lieu of flowers, the family of Sadie asks that you be kind to one another," it read. Now, interestingly, this touching sentiment struck a chord with many. In fact, Sarah and Stephanie have received several acts of kindness since posting their emotional farewell. For instance, an anonymous Chicago native sent the pair a memory tree, while two Bedford businesses put up signs outdoors saying, "Be kind for Sadie's sake." Also, the local community in general was responsive, donating money to Sadie's funeral. And then there was the high school student who offered an apology for the time he'd insulted the bullied teen. Crucially, though, Sadie's obituary has touched the hearts of many online, even fueling a wider debate about bullying in schools. In fact, Sarah and Stephanie's words ended up going viral. For instance, Jenny Rapson of Faith It, a site focused on inspirational true stories, was just one of the many who felt compelled to highlight the obituary. Yes, Rapson wrote, "I'm not in the habit of reading obituaries, and I pretty much never discuss death notices with my children. But when I saw several of my friends share the obituary of a young girl on Facebook, my interest was piqued. Did the child of a mutual acquaintance or friend of a friend pass away and I had not heard about it? No, I found out when I clicked to read," Rapson continued. "All my friends were sharing the obituary of a complete and total stranger. In fact, this young girl's obituary is going viral for a very powerful reason. Because 15-year-old Sadie L. Riggs' obituary, her family took a strong stand to attempt to save others' lives." And Rapson believes that Sadie's obituary is something that should be shared amongst the younger generation. She added, "We have to teach our kids that their words and actions matter, that there's no such thing as harmless bullying, and that extending love and kindness instead of rejection and ridicule can make all the difference for a soul in need of it. What's more, Rapson concluded her piece by discussing the importance of empathy. She added, "We have to instill in our kids the ability to ask themselves, what would it feel like if someone said or did that to me?" As Sadie's obituary proves, how we teach our kids to treat or not treat others can be the difference between life and death.